Alrighty chapperoonies, we're back for part 2 of the sill panel. I do realise that this is a fairly massive job because I'm removing the outer sill panel, the inner sill panel and the bottom of the A, B and C pillars to do this job. It's a huge job and I'm dreaming if I think I'm going to get it done in like one video, so this might be at least a 3-part mini series on the sill panel for this car, but we're going to try and keep it rolling and keep videos coming out. It does take a lot of time, and I do obviously work a normal job during the week, you know, doing exactly the same stuff, but I can only do this stuff on the weekends really. I do sneak in a little bit of tank work after work every day, but this is, if I want to do anything with any great length of time, I've got to do it on the weekend. So I'm also going to sneak in a little tank update for those who follow along with that, because I have been making progress. Alright, this is actually a car I'm currently working on for my day job, which is, you know, ironically, yeah, same sort of work. Everybody knows that I do this anyway, but this is an XA coupe in the process of replacing the whole front, well, I guess you call it the whole front corner. Luckily it's that rail, not that rail, because that one's got the VIN number on it. But the end of that one was all totally bent and twisted and buggered. I managed to save that off the other donor front end. I got the whole front rad support off. Most people just hack them through here, which honestly, if that piece was actually any good on this car, I would have done the same, but this piece on this car was totally stuffed, so I thought, well, looks like I'm taking the whole rad support off in one go. So a full rad support actually looks like that. Most people just hack them through there, because that actually, in the scheme of things, that's only a really short weld on both sides and a piece of cake. This is a whole lot of extra work. Anyway, so we've got a skirt, rad support and top rail to go on there, but that's work related. So now, I love the tank. I actually like it more than anything else that I've currently got, except for my child and my partner. But it's up there. So I had a whole bunch of these made because I'm making the rear hinges for the engine doors. So obviously long ago in the before times, this was actually the rear doors which go here. They're just a 1-inch plate. Don't know what that was, but they were hacked off and the remnants of the rivets are still in there. So I know the gapping and the spacing of all the hinges, and I know from other tanks that the rear hinges are the same or irritatingly close to the same hinges as what's on the front hatch there. So I'm just copying those and putting them on. They all seem to be pretty close. Now I made these pins and the tubes, but I never really liked the fact that it was such a thin walled tube, but they seem to be okay for that little hatch. But I wanted some beefier hinges for the rear, so I went to Dinky Dye, who's my go-to engineer around the corner, can make you literally anything, and I asked for something pretty basic, and I just got a whole bunch of these made up, and I've got some 10 by 40 strap, which I'll just cut down and then thin to 38mm, which is pretty easy, and that can go on one side and another length can go on that side, and you can reproduce those. These are about to go back in. They're all, that's just, you know, one stick goes here and that goes to the other side, and yeah, so that's basically the steering for the tank. That's all cleaned up. I got the pistol port in and it opens. I had to guess the geometry of that because obviously I'm working off photos. I made another one of these, and I made a whole bunch of these little guys out of Allen head screws. So I started with an Allen key tapered bolt and then welded them. That's actually not a good one, but you know, welded them and then ran them through the lathe, and you end up with, you know, something that's passable. Making this sucked, but it's in, and then now I've got those in, I can put all those screws in and then put the skirt on the bottom of the turret. So we've got a smoke discharge bracket, a pistol port in, I made the stays for the top hatch, so everything is coming along quite nicely. I haven't really, oh, and I've got some of those in now too. I haven't really done much, haven't run this because I took all the sticks out and I don't like running it without having the ability to stop it. But yeah, it leaks. But that's all coming along quite nicely. That's just an update on that. All the little stuff, it just takes time. Actually, those top hatches, the stays are really good. I don't like welding at heights, that's a long way up to be welding. Anyway, back to this. So somebody asked, how am I getting all these spot welds out? Well, a combination of flapper discs and belt sanding belts, and yeah, that just suck, especially with these other spot welds which are a bit hard to see. It's amazing how fast it goes rusty too, especially when we're in the middle of winter. As you would have seen in the last video, all of those flanges were spotless. I don't know if I'm going to bore you with going through all the details, but basically I drill out the spot welds of the bottom of the B pillar and cut through the outer sill panel that's still remaining, take off the outer piece and then drop down probably 10mm and then cut through the inner of the B pillar and remove the inner sill panel as well, and then you have the whole bottom off like that. See how it's stepped, and do that to there. And then this one's a bit harder because there's so many layers here, because you got the dog leg you got to remove, then the outer C pillar, and then you got to do the inner one. So this side's a bit tricky, but it's also worse because it's all smashed up. But I'll do periodic updates as I go along, but it's nothing really exciting. I'll just tell you that it's just drilling out spot welds and, you know, separating it all. So when we get on to the next major bit, I'll do an update. Alrighty, so I had a bit of music going next door, so I had to keep it a bit quiet. But here we go. I've got to clean off a little bit in here still, but all the areas where I'm going to re-weld it are now on copper spray. So areas that I'm going to replace once the inner sill panel and outer sill panel are on and the strength is back in the car is some of those areas. So even though those are rusty, they're still quite strong. But if I started cutting those out as it is now, I'm convinced the floor would start to move around. So I'd rather leave everything perfect. I've trial fitted it, it all seems to fit nicely, still lined up, nothing's moved. So I'll weld it here, a bit here, mostly through the middle and at the end, and that'll put the strength back in the car. And then once the outer sill panel's on, the A pillars and B pillars and C pillars are back on, then you can just do a small little repair here and replace a small section of the floor and weld it back in perfect. And up there, obviously I'm going to have to replace the little notch in the torque box first. That I have to do now, but seriously though, those other things can be done afterwards once the sill panel is back on the vehicle. That's how I prefer to do it, but most of it's pretty good. I've just got to get the last remnants of the inner sill panel off there and clean up this edge and get the outer sill panel remnants off there. But pretty much we're almost ready to start cracking out a welder and start putting some metal back in. Nice. Alrighty, so I've skipped a few steps now. The inner sill panel is probably 80% in. I still got to adjust some heads on this thing to get a couple more spots where I'd be happy. And I'll note, I bloody hate galvanized coated repair panels. They are the most painful thing in the world to deal with, because you've got to grind the coating off. Yes, they last longer in storage, but they are so not worth the hassle. Avoid them if you can. I hate them so much, because if you don't grind the coating off and you go to weld it, that fume that come off is incredibly bad for you. Not that half the crap that we deal with isn't bad for us anyway, but that one's particularly bad. And you might notice that where the spot welder has been, I've actually ground some of the coating off a bit. I just wanted to make damn sure that the welds are going to be good, because I just don't like galvanized coating. Although that bit, not galvanized. Clean it up, drill it, and you might go, gee Graham, that's a lot of plug welds in there. I go, well, I don't know, I put enough in that made me feel comfortable. And because I've never seen one of those, not rusty, I don't actually know how many they put in there from factory, so I just put a whole bunch in there that made me feel comfortable. So technically speaking, a lot of the strength is now back in this car. There's still areas which need some more work, but we're getting there. I might try and fit the sill panel on in a second, the outer sill panel, just get a bit of a see how we're going. But we're getting there. Alrighty, I think that is a fantastic place to leave this part of the video. Still got a few more weldings to do to the inner sill panel, to the floor, and a few things like that, but it's not going to fail, it's not going to fall off. I've spent a bit of time on this today, but I'd like to go home and see the family. So I've got the outer sill panel trial fitting, and boy does it fit well. These are fan-smeggantastic, these sill panels. Gee, they fit well. You do have to I had to hook in here and just pull this up a bit. They feel like they're, if you did a profile shot of them, they feel like they're just like that, so they need to be just opened up slightly, but not too bad. Vice grips will do that. But gee, that's looking fan-bloody-tastic. Sometimes I impress myself. There's actually might be hope for this car eventually. Yeah. I mean, obviously the project car market has taken a bit of a poo since I bought this, but that's okay, I do this for fun, so yeah, I don't really go out of my way to do this for profit. Some people do, I'm not one of those people. Yeah, so there we go. Alright, I'll leave it there, chaps, and I'll see you on the next one.